Hi, Linda Winter here again. I want to show you one of my new templates. Actually, it's been out for a while, just haven't filmed a video. The Tumbler set. You all probably know by now, hopefully, the Martilli Get a Grip. This material, no slipping, no kidding. You can see this, I'm grabbing my table. Acrylics, they slide. So when you go to cut, you don't get exactly what it is you want to get. Well, the tumbler shape, it's nothing new. This is the tumbler. It's a square, so it's 4 sides, but we've made it narrower at the top. When you do a tumbler, you're going to cut, and then you'll turn this and sew this to this. Turn, turn, turn. It's a tumbler, the idea of the tumbler. I want to show you a couple of the sizes first, or all the sizes first, and then we'll look at some projects. So in the tumbler set, what I've got is a 3.5, a 5, a 7.5, and a 10. When you want to do the 7.5 and the 10, these guys here, it's really easy to find the center. I'll show you that in a little bit. But when you want to fussy cut something with the smaller ones, because they're so small, we did the fussy cut frames. These fussy cut frames, I'll show you how these work a little bit as well. So the fussy cut frame allows me to focus in on a frog, a dog, a bear, a toad, whatever it is that I want to do for an ABC quilt, an I Spy quilt, making it perfectly centered. So we'll look at that too. So let me show you a couple of the projects that you can do. And there's always 1,000 more projects that you can do than what I have, but I've got a couple that I brought with me. We're here in Chattanooga at the trade show. So this is a pillow. This is double-sided. Imagine this being stuffed. This is my tumbler. You can see I've got a tumbler block sewn to a block, sewn to a block, sewn to a block, sewn to a block, sewn to a block. A row, sewn to a row, sewn to a row, sewn to a row. Simple strip piecing. It doesn't get any easier than that. What we did on this one, though, is instead of doing on the back the tumbler, I did a half hexie. I'm not showing the half hexie today, but I just want you to see a half of a hexie sewn to a half of a hexie, sewn to a half hexie, a row, sewn to a row, sewn to a row. Simple strip piecing, but I've got the look of a hexagon, the look of a hexagon, the look of a hexagon. If you all know hexagons, you have the dreaded Y seam. This is my Y seam. We have a hard time, all of us that sew and quilt, have a hard time doing that Y seam. Some people have said, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it too, but it takes time. You've got to work at it, and they're not always perfect. When you do a row sewn to a row, it's simple strip piecing. And oh, by the way, you're going to be hearing background noises because we're here at the show before the show starts, but vendors are coming in. This is a cute little iPad case, or it can be a makeup bag, or it can be a lunch bag, whatever it is. So we've got this here. It's one solid piece. This here is this, and I use the round offs to round off the corners, and this allows me to have this nice, exactly the same. On the right side and on the left side, these rounded corners are exactly the same. So this is a really fast, easy project that you can do with the tumblers. This is a sewing machine cover. If y'all have sewing machines, you need to cover them. Don't do as I say, don't do as I do as I say. I don't have all my sewing machines covered. So this is a nice sewing machine cover. A solid piece of fabric on the back, because nobody's going to see that back, but you've done the piecing here on the front and on the back, and then a solid piece here. So this sits on your sewing machine and then ties on the side. Really simple. There's lots of directions out there online, so you can go find those directions, but the tumbler is real simple. Here's another tumbler. This is a doggy mat. If you want to put their water bowl, their food on there. Again, simple strip piecing. Piecing on the front and then a solid on the back. You can make it a little bit bigger and turn it into a cat project. This is a cat bed. If you look at this, I've got batting in here. What I love to do with cats is put some catnip inside of there, just, you know, kind of intersperse it around so your cats will go crazy. I want you to look at this part here and this part here. Those of you that are a certain age, you're going to remember this right here is an hourglass, and this right here is the, boy, I'm forgetting. It's the, I can't think of it. All right, I'll come back and I'll put it on the screen later on. Those of you that are sitting out there saying, I know what that is. Anyway, I can't remember it. But this here, I've got a pattern. So we can see the pattern, we can see the pattern. On this one, what we see is a pattern, a pattern, a pattern. I've got a diagonal here. So you can do different kinds of patterns with this. This one you can see, I've got a row, I've got a row, I've got a row, I've got a row. And this is a doggy bed. Again, it's stuffed thicker for dogs. You can make it whatever size you want. So those are some of the projects. Let's take a look at how simple it is to cut with the tumblers. I'm going to grab some fabric. Oh, by the way, I have another project. This is just a cute little zipper bag. Add one of my flowers. I show you how to do the flowers on my videos for going around in circles. This is called burned flowers because you're singeing the edge. But again, it's done with the half hexie, but you can do a tumbler with this. Just a real simple, cute little zipper bag. This is a really nice gift in a gift when you're giving somebody some money, something that they want, a gift card to Bed Bath & Beyond or Body Shop or whatever. Stick it in a little case like that. It just makes it really nice. Okay, so when you're going to cut, with our Get a Grip, that material grabs. So when I go to cut, you can see how easy it is for that to turn. So with our projects, all the templates, you can do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 layers of fabric at the same time. I'm just going to cut off some fabric and fold, and I'm going to grab this on here. When you cut, instead of doing this and this, and then moving to the other side of the table to cut here and to cut here, what we're going to do is cut, turn the fabric, that template, those two stay together because of that Get a Grip, and then I cut. Now, if you guys have bad eyes like I do and you can't see here, you know, starting here, I'm going to maybe hit this. Doesn't damage my blade, doesn't damage this, but I'd like to be right on the edge. If you can't see very well, I don't have my glasses on, I'm going to start at the side and go backwards, forwards. What that will allow me to do, let me do it again, backwards, forwards, that'll allow me to cut and not worry about not getting that edge. So start on the side, go backwards, forwards. It kind of gives you a rolling motion. But what that lets me do is cut, again, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I've just done a couple because I want to show you how simple it is for you to piece. So I grab my fabrics. We're going to take this to the sewing machine, and if y'all know the little dog ears, I need my glasses on because this white is just gone, but there's a little dog ear that I have here and a little dog ear. Those dog ears, you can see better here, I can at least see that. When you go to stitch your 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to have that dog ear here and the dog ear here. I can't see that one at all. Hopefully you all can see, and hopefully I've got it lined up correctly. What that's going to allow me to do is stitch those and get that row, and then we would do the next and the next and the next. Stitch a row, sew into a row, sew into a row. Again, simple strip piecing. On the larger ones, I mentioned you don't need the fussy cuts for these larger ones, but if you wanted to fussy cut something, if you wanted something to be perfectly centered, what I recommend you do with this is get a metallic Sharpie. They sell them all over the place. You probably already have one. You're going to take this on your mat, and from here to here, find the center point and put a mark with your metallic Sharpie. Do the same thing on the next side, do the same thing on your next side, do the same thing on that last side. What that will allow me to do is have a mark, a mark, a mark. Those 4 marks, if I've got something that I want to be perfectly centered, actually let me grab this other fabric. If I have something that I want to be centered, I want this, what are you waiting for, to be right in the center. I'll fold in half, in between, look at the top and the bottom, and I want my crease that I'm going to give right here to be in between there. And then I'm going to look, if I'm centering this green block, I'm going to fold in half again, and I'm looking at the green, and I want to see that those are lined up here. And then I give that a good crease as well. If you're particular about it and you want this to be absolutely perfect, press with an iron, press with an iron. When we open that up, those creases that are there, I'll place this on and line up the metallic marking with those folds that I just created. That way when you go to cut, it's perfectly centered. So if you're into the fussy cutting, which I like to do for all my charity quilts, dogs and frogs and bears and toads, perfectly in the center, then do that on the 10-inch and do that on the 7.5-inch. I'm going to show you fussy cutting with one of the smaller blocks. We'll use the 5-inch. The fussy cut frame works just like our squares and our triangles. Do I want it this way? Do I want it this way? Do I want it this way? Do you see how I can fussy cut something? So I'm going to do pretty much what's logical here. I'm looking at the top and the bottom, the left and the right, and I want to have that centered. When I get that the way I want it, I'm going to hold that down. Remember, this doesn't have the Get a Grip on the back. So that's just temporary. That's just like a camera in the old days where we had the viewfinder. We're basically just saying, this is what I want it to be. Hold that down, place the template inside. The template has the Get a Grip. Pop the fabric. When you lift that fabric, that pops the fussy cut frame off. And then I'm going to bring this over in front of my body. When I'm in front of my body, that's where my shoulder, or in front of my shoulder, that's where my shoulder naturally extends. We've been taught to cut here in front of us, from the boob. We don't want to cut from the boob, we want to cut from the shoulder. Our hand or arm extends from the shoulder, so we want to cut from the shoulder. Notice it was this way. I'm going to turn this straight because my blade's straight, going straight. That allows me to see my blade going right along that edge. So I cut. I turn my template and then I cut. And when I've got this, that turns, I'm not wasting any of this other fabric. That allows me to keep the rest of that fabric intact and take advantage of everything else that I've got. Y'all probably can't see the bunched up fabric there, but hopefully you can see that get a grip grabs, so I don't have to move my body around, move my table around, all of those things. And there I've got my fussy cut. Fussy cutting without the fussing. That's the goal of all of these tools that get a grip and the fussy cut frames. I'm going to pull the turntable in and show you our turntable, because the turntable is another way for you to cut. When you're doing the templates, using these templates, I'm going to pretend that this is just a plain old fabric and then I've got enough fabric here. Let me grab a smaller one so I can actually show you, because this will work a little bit better. We're going to cut. You can, when you turn this, again on the mat, this is acting like a turntable, but do you see how easy this is for me to cut? And then I turn my turntable and I cut, and I turn my turntable and I cut. This just makes it a whole lot easier for you to work with. The turntable also has a pressing top, which is really nice when you're doing that, sewing your rows together, and then you need to do a really good job of pressing before you sew that next row together. So hopefully this will give you an idea of what you can do with the tumbler. The tumbler, a lot of fun, really simple, gives you more bang for your buck. Squares, they get a little bit boring. The tumbler adds a little bit of variety. You can go to my website, winterdesigns.com. I'll have all that information on my YouTube. We'll see it on the screen when we get this edited. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.